Hey guys, it's Ashley and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to hear that you guys enjoyed my last restorative yoga video and the new filming style that I've been playing around with. My classes are filmed without music for copyright purposes, so please feel free to follow me on Spotify as Ashley Tuck, linked down below in the comments. You can choose one of the yoga playlists that I've pre-created or the recommended playlist for today's flow, Yoga Emotional. The last song of each playlist is the Shavasana song that you can skip to at the very end. If you enjoyed today's class or have any suggestions, I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. Today's class, we're going to be doing a flow to help us move through anxiety. This is more of an intentional flow, and as always, I will leave space for you guys to add what you need in today's practice. So let's set up. First, you will need a mat, a blanket, and a block if you have one handy. We bring props into our practice as a means of support and to help us go deeper into our asanas. As a disclaimer and a gentle reminder, please practice within your comfort zone and finding your natural edge. I'm a certified yoga therapist and I am simply a guide. It is up to you to listen to your body and lean into what feels good and to stop when things do not feel good. If you have any further medical questions for future classes, please contact a medical professional that you closely work with so that you can get the most out of these classes and practice safely. Thank you. Let's begin an easy seat. Close your eyes and only focus on your breath. Let's try to regulate our breathing and watching how each inhale and each exhale moves throughout our body. We are busy people and have so much going on in our lives, and I so appreciate you so very much for being here and taking a moment to connect with yourself. Let's bring hands to prayer, Anjali, heart center. Connect with your heart, give yourself grace, and remember, you are doing your very best. Breathe. It's a good day to have a good day. Let's move prayer hands up above our heads and back down to heart center. We will repeat this for 7 breaths. Begin to arch and round your back, just like a seated cat and cow with prayer arms. On our last exhale, let's bring prayer hands back to heart center. Tent the fingertips out to either side of the body, meaning only the fingertips are rested on the mat and the wrists are raised. Begin to shift side to side, warming the spine, and become very loose with it, where the head and shoulders begin to sway side to side. We'll make this into a flow and lift our right hand up towards the sky, arching the spine over to the left side. Flowing on an exhale, the right hand rests back down, and on an inhale, reach the left hand over towards the right side, arching the spine. Check in with the body and ask yourself as you look up at your arms in these side stretches, are my arms reaching over my ears or over my face? We want to pull the top arm up and slightly back so you're getting the most out of this stretch. You should feel the stretch from the hip and sit bone all the way up into the fingertips. Let's sweep the legs around and come into tabletop or all fours. Check in with the body that your feet are in line with your knees and equal weight is in your hips. Begin to sway the hips side to side and slowly begin to look over your shoulders, allowing for the body to form a C shape. We are going to move into the most yummiest pose, which may not sound so yummy. They're called cement trucks. But feel me though. These are just like the seated cat and cows that we did earlier with our prayer arms, but we're going to be on all fours and moving in a circular motion. On an inhale, sway your hips over to the right side and slowly start to round your back as your body moves through center towards the left side. When the weight is all the way in the left hip, Begin to arch your spine and bend the elbows as desired. Play around with this pose so it feels super good to you. When your body is back into cat pose, let's reverse that motion of our cement tricks over to the left side. When you're ready, bring your big toes together and widen your knees so that you can sink back into child's pose for a break. Breathe. You deserve it. Slowly ripple the spine into a tabletop and bring the legs and knees in line with your hips. We will be moving into lizard pose shortly. Extend your left foot back. Flex the heel. Check that your toes are facing the floor. This means your hips are also internally rotated or closed. Tuck your knee into your chest while rounding in the back, keeping your foot flexed. Let's step forward into a low lunge. In this low lunge, feel free to use a blanket under your knee and a block to support your opposite side. We'll begin to glide forward and back from a low lunge into half splits. Take your time with these as this is a balance in itself. Hands can be on your hips or resting on the floor to support you. Let's push forward in a low lunge on our left side and we'll walk our hands over to the right side. We want to check that our feet and hands are in a straight line on our mat. We're going to open this hip a little deeper here. Take your left hand and rest it on top of your left knee and swing that hip over to the side. Begin to roll onto the side of your feet so that your sole is lifting off of the mat and you're resting on the pinky toe here. Let's pause. Option to stay on top of the hands, but if you feel called to move deeper into this pose, please lower onto the forearms. Option to use a block if you are lowering for support. Coming out of lizard pose, let's bring our hands to the mat on the right side and sweep our left leg back so that we can come back into our tabletop. We'll slowly sway the hips side to side. Alright, let's move back into our lunge on the right side. From tabletop, extend your right leg back with foot flexed and toes pointed down so that our hip is closed. Engage your core and slowly draw that knee into your chest while keeping that foot flexed and glide it through into a low lunge. In our low lunge, once again, we'll shift forward and back, changing shapes from low lunge to half splits. Let's shift forward in our lunge, and this time we'll bring our hands over to the left side and pause. Check in with your body. Our hips can hold a lot of emotional tension, and each hip is not the same. Move into this pose so that it feels comfortable for you. Option to open this hip as we did on the other side. Pause. Coming out of our lizard pose, let's slowly move back into our tabletop and then slowly push our hips back into child's pose so that our bottom is going towards our heels. Let's move into rock pose. Option to use your block to rest your forehead on. and we'll slide our hands behind us. Yogi's choice to bind the hands or just to rest them down to your sides with palms up. From here, let's make our way to our backs by shifting forward into our tabletop pose and then sweeping the feet around so that we can sit onto our bottoms. Take your time on the way down. As we come onto our backs, we'll meet with our knees into our chest. Give yourself the tightest hug. I love myself as I am, and I'm doing my very best every single day considering the circumstances. Soften your grip around your legs, and let's begin to rock the body side to side and massage our lower back into our mat. Our eyes can close if they are not already, and this portion of our practice can be completely auditory. We will end our mini flow with some supine twists. So let's start with the legs off to the right side. Roll back to center from our knees to chest asana and begin to straighten out the right leg onto the floor and extend your left leg up towards the sky. Open your arms into a comfortable rested T position, and let's begin to stack our hips over to the right side by crossing left leg over. Come into a gentle hold and breathe. On our last exhale, we'll make our way back to center and do our supine twist for the left side. Come to corpse pose and elongate your left leg onto the ground while extending your right leg up towards the sky. Take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, carry the right leg over to the left side. Transitioning out of our supine twist, let's begin to roll onto our backs and bring the soles of the feet together to find our diamond pose. The hips will open nice and wide, and for maximum comfort, we can grab our blanket and drape it over our torso area. As we enter our Shavasana, or final resting position, please feel free to make yourself comfortable. Give yourself the resources you need, such as the props to support yourself. Option to rest in diamond pose or extend your legs up the wall. You can even come off the wall if you prefer a traditional corpse pose. Allow your body to rest and find that pose that feels best. Food for thought in our Shavasana. So I wanted to share with you guys some ways to help me to ground when I'm feeling anxious or disconnected. The disconnect is actually happening because our body is having this out-of-body experience. We're not in touch with ourselves any longer, and it's time for us to activate the 5 senses to bring ourselves back into our body. Those are the resources you can use when you need to bring yourself back into the present moment. So my go-tos of the 5 senses are taste and smell. So the first thing I do if I'm feeling anxious or ungrounded, I'll actually take a sip of water because my body may be telling me, hey, it's been a while since you actually drank some water. Why don't you go ahead and drink some water to make yourself feel better? My second thing I like to do to resource is I'll go and look in my essential oil rack for a grounding or relaxing essential oil. And y'all already know I love lavender, so I'll dabble it on my wrist, I'll take some deep breaths, and I'll even rub it all over my body. The third technique I like to use, I actually learned way back when I was apprentice in my Reiki teacher training, and it's simply resting your hands on the floor. So whether you're indoors or outdoors, just resting your hands on the floor really helps you bring the energy back into your body, to ground back into your body. even better if you can take your shoes off and be barefoot to truly connect with the earth. So these are some techniques that I like to use. I hope that they can help somebody in this video. And let's get back to the outro. All right, let's begin to reawaken our body with soft, gentle movements, however that translates within your body. Maybe it starts with wiggling our fingers or our toes, or maybe the eyes gently begin to open. We can begin to rock the head side to side and let out a gentle sigh, slowly coming back into this safe space we've created. When you feel called, please roll onto one side and pause. Rise into an easy seat with hands in prayer, heart center. I want to thank each and every one of you so very much for joining me in today's class, and I look forward to practicing together very soon. From my heart to you, namaste. If you would like to support future classes and our goal at Ashlee's Crazy Yoga to make wellness accessible and affordable, check the description on ways to donate and support our mission. Your donation will allow someone to join our weekly classes held on Zoom who may not be in a position to afford a class. Thank you very much.